Welcome back, everyone. Today we're gonna talk about Genesis 4, verse 2. And she again bore his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. This verse introduces Abel, in Hebrew Hevel, the second son of Adam and Eve, and immediately juxtaposes him with Cain, not just by birth, but by spiritual archetype. Both Zohar and Midrash Agadah delve deeply into the symbolic dichotomy between these two brothers, representing the foundational split between soul and matter, contemplation and possession, submission and assertion. The first phrase we have, and she again bore his brother Abel, twin souls with divergent paths. The Hebrew, in English, she continued to give birth, implies that Abel and Cain were born as twins, but with vastly different soul roots. The Zohar teaches that while Cain's soul descends from Geburah, which represents severity and judgment, Abel's come from Hesed, kindness, and softness. Two lights entered the world, one grasping, one giving, one ascending, one descending. Abel means vapor or breath, suggesting transience, fragility, and spiritual loftiness. The Zohar explains this reflects his ephemeral nature. Abel's soul was too refined for this world, a mystic not grounded enough in physical durability. The Midrash says Eve prophetically named him Hevel because she sensed his fate. He would not last. Some sages even say she regretted giving birth again after Cain, already seeing the sorrow to come. Yet others read the name as a reflection of his humility. Unlike Cain, Abel made no grand claims. He was like a breath, pure, fleeting, unnoticed. The next phrase we have, Abel was a keeper of sheep, the path of the mystical shepherd. Abel, tending sheep, reflects a soul aligned with meditative devotion, gentleness, and the realm of Bina, understanding. Shepherding is symbolic in Kabbalah of those who guide souls, contemplate divine names, and live in harmony with the natural flow of life. He walked with silence, tending the sacred flocks of Shekinah. Sheep are symbolic of the simple faithful, and Abel becomes an early archetype of the righteous Zaddik, those who sacrifice ego for the sake of divine service. Yet the Zohar hints that Abel's detachment also made him vulnerable. He was too passive to confront Cain's aggression. The Midrash compares Abel to a wandering mystic, unattached to land or ownership. While Cain possessed, Abel tended. This reflects the deep spiritual difference between them. Cain was about control, Abel about alignment. Next we have the phrase, but Cain was a tiller of the ground, possession and ego. Cain's role as Oved Adamah, in English, tiller of the ground, ties him to the lower world of Asiyah, in English, action, and to the very soil curse due to Adam's sin. The Zohar sees this as symbolic of a soul that clings to materiality, control, and self-power. He cleaved to the dust, seeking to dominate it, but the earth too held his destiny. Cain's connection to the cursed ground is not inherently evil, but dangerous. He is meant to transform and uplift it, but instead he becomes possessive, viewing earth as his domain, unlike Abel, who moves through creation without grasping. The Midrash criticizes Cain's arrogance and pride. Unlike Abel, who tended living beings, in this case sheep, Cain worked the lifeless earth. Some sages say this hints that Cain's spiritual sensitivity was dull, and that he became emotionally hardened, an important foreshadowing. The Kabbalistic duality, the first archetypal brothers. This verse establishes the eternal spiritual duality. Cain, egoic force, root of conflict, builder of cities, clinger to this world. Abel represents soul of silence, vapor of truth, first mystic and first martyr. In Lurianic Kabbalah, Cain's soul descends from the left side, Abel's soul from the right side. These two forces are necessary for rectification, but only when balanced. Cain represents the first klippah, or husk, that seeks power without surrender, while Abel represents the spark of light that is slain too soon, yet continues to echo throughout generations as the inner voice of purity. To summarize, Genesis 4, verse 2 introduces Abel, the brother of Cain, and their divergent roles, but Zohar and Midrash Agadah see much more, the eternal archetypes of spiritual paths. The phrase, "and see again bore his brother Abel," Zohar teaches they were twins, yet spiritually opposite. Abel means breath, fragile, pure, and fleeting. The Midrash says Eve sends his fate, naming him with sorrow or humility. The phrase, "and Abel was a keeper of sheep," Abel is a mystic. He aligns with creation, lives simply, and tends soul. The Zohar sees him as a tzaddik dwelling in harmony. The Midrash contrasts his peaceful role with Cain's obsession with control. The phrase, "but Cain was a tiller of the ground," Cain is rooted in earth, but also ego, possession, and dominance. The Zohar teaches he is drawn to the cursed soil, trying to control it rather than redeem it. The Midrash sees this as emotional and spiritual coarseness. This verse sets up the cosmic polarity between the spiritual and the material, submission and assertion, vapor and weight. The tragedy of what follows is already encoded in this silent contrast. One breathes light and the other buries it. Yet both are needed for the great drama of Tikkun Olam, the rectification of the world. That's it for today. Thank you very much for your donation. Be blessed, everyone, and I will see you on the next episode.